rich with symbolism and metaphor.
But what about the ending? Does magic return to Orïsha?
I don't want to spoil the ending, but I will say that it's both hopeful and heartbreaking.
Oh, intriguing.
It acknowledges the cyclical nature of history. The fight for justice is ongoing, with victories and setbacks along the way.
It's never a straight line.
No, it's not. It leaves you thinking about the complexity.
Welcome to Witter. Who Has Time to Read? The podcast that brings deep dives for busy minds. Listen to AI hosts Jane and Dane and get ready to unpack the world's most captivating books in just a fraction of the time. Whether commuting, working out, or just squeezing in a quick break, we deliver key insights, thought-provoking themes, and takeaways you can carry into your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Plus, use our links in the description to purchase this book. Your support helps us bring more engaging book discussions to you. Listen and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Who has time to read? You do, with Witter.
Hey, fellow deep divers. Welcome back to Witter, your one-stop shop for deep dives for busy minds. You know how it is?
Always on the go.
Exactly. This month, we're celebrating Black Voices with our Black Voices series.
It's Black History Month after all.
It is, and I'm really excited about this one. Today, we're going to unpack Tomi Adeyemi's Children of Blood and Bone.
Oh, that's a fantastic choice for this series. It's a powerful story, a journey into a world where magic has been stifled.
I love that about fantasy.
Yeah.
It holds a mirror to reality in such a creative way.
That's exactly what Adeyemi does.
So let's dive into Orïsha. Tell me about this world.
Okay, so Orïsha. It's a land brimming with magic and history.
Sounds enchanting.
It is, but it's also a world deeply scarred by a brutal event called the Raid.
Oh?
Yeah, imagine a society where people with magical abilities, the maji, they thrived, connected to their gods, the Orïsha, but then the ruling class, the Kosidan, they grew fearful of their power.
I'm sensing a classic power struggle here.
You got it.
Yeah.
And in this case, the Kosidan, led by King Seren, decided to eradicate magic altogether.
Oh, wow. That's intense.
It was. They launched a horrific attack on the maji. It left a generation traumatized and magic seemingly extinct.
So this raid, it's the foundation of the story.
Yes, it sets the stage for everything that unfolds.
Okay, so where does our protagonist Zélie fit into all of this?
Zélie is a diviner, meaning she has the potential for magic, but it's been locked away since the raid.
Because of the attack?
Yes. And to make matters worse, she lost her mother during that horrific event. She carries that grief and trauma with her.
I can only imagine.
But here's the thing. She's also fiercely determined to restore magic to Orïsha.
Okay, so she's not giving up. She's ready to fight.
Oh, absolutely. She's on a quest. And knowing classic fantasy tropes, she probably won't be alone.
I was just thinking that. Who joins her on this quest?
Well, first there's her brother Zane.
What's he like?
He's more cautious, protective of Zélie and their family. And then there's the unexpected addition of Princess Amari, the king's daughter.
Whoa, hold on. The king's daughter. Why would she join Zélie?
Well, Amari witnesses her father's brutality firsthand.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a moment of awakening for her.
Yeah?
She realizes the cruelty of his regime, and she chooses to rebel.
Wow. That's a powerful decision.
It is. She sides with Zélie and brings a crucial artifact with her, the scroll that holds the key to restoring magic.
So she's not just an ally, she's a key player in all of this.
Exactly.
This whole idea of magic, it feels like it represents something deeper, especially in the context of the Black experience. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. You're right on the mark. Magic in Children of Blood and Bone embodies the potential, the creativity, the inherent power within Black people.
The power that's been systematically suppressed.
Exactly. Underestimated throughout history, the diviners struggle to unlock their magic. It mirrors the ongoing fight for Black liberation.
It makes you think about how cultural expression has been stifled in marginalized communities, how traditions and identities have been erased or demonized.
It's all connected.
So tell me more about Zélie and Amari's journey. What kind of dangers do they face?
Oh, it's a perilous journey. They face constant threats from King Saren's forces.
They're trying to stop?
Of course. They want to prevent magic from returning at all costs.
Makes sense.
There are fearsome creatures, corrupt guards, and even challenges within their own group.
I imagine it's not easy for them to trust each other right away.
Right. They have to learn to work together to overcome these obstacles.
It sounds like a classic hero's journey, full of external obstacles and internal conflicts.
It is. Are there any other characters that play a big role?
Besides Zélie and Amari and Zane.
Yeah, there are many. Mama Adba, for example. She's a wise elder.
Like a mentor?
Exactly. She guides Zélie, shares her knowledge.
That's so important in these kinds of stories.
Oh, it is. Then there's Leakin, a scholar.
Oh, cool.
He helps them understand the history of magic, the complexities of the ritual they need to perform.
To restore magic?
Yes. And we can't forget about Prince Inanamari's brother.
Right. He seems like a really complicated character.
He is. He's wrestling with his own internalized racism and his evolving understanding of the world.
And he has magical abilities too, right?
He does, which makes things even more complicated for him.
I bet he's going to have to confront some hard truths about himself and his family.
Oh, absolutely. His journey is one of the most compelling parts of the story.
Okay, so we have this incredible world, these complex characters, and this potent metaphor of magic.
It's a powerful combination.
But there's also this underlying theme of sacrifice and loss running through everything, is there not?
There is. This book doesn't shy away from the realities of fighting for freedom.
It can be brutal.
It can. Characters we care about are lost along the way. The emotional toll on Zélie Amari and everyone involved, it's immense.
It's a reminder that the pursuit of justice often comes at a great personal cost.
It does.
This is all so thought-provoking.
Yeah.
But let's get into the heart of the story. What exactly is this ritual they're trying to perform, and what obstacles stand in their way?
That's where things get really interesting. Well, the ritual, it's their only hope for permanently restoring magic to Orïsha. You see, it involves connecting to the Orïsha, the gods.
I see, and that requires...
It requires 3 sacred artifacts, the scroll Amari brought with her, a sunstone, and a bone dagger.
Okay, so each artifact holds a special significance.
Exactly. Each one is tied to a different part of their history, like pieces of a puzzle.
And they have to find all of them.
They do, which is no easy feat.
So what challenges do they face in gathering these artifacts?
It's a dangerous journey full of twists and turns. For instance, the scroll. It contains ancient knowledge about the ritual.
That's helpful.
It is, but it's written in a language that's been lost to them.
Oh, no. So they can't even read it?
Not at first. They have to seek out those who can decipher it.
So it's like a treasure hunt with extra steps.
Kind of. They also have to travel through different landscapes, each with its own dangers.
That sounds intense.
It is, and they're constantly on the run from King Saran's forces.
Always looking over their shoulder.
Exactly. It's a race against time with the fate of Orïsha hanging in the balance.
And it's not just about the external dangers, is it?
Yeah.
There's also that internal struggle Zélie's facing. Her connection to the dead, her magic.
That's a huge part of her journey. Her magic is drawn from her connection to the Reaper clan. It's powerful, but it carries a heavy weight. It can be used for good, but it also has a dark side.
The connection to death.
Exactly. If she's not careful, it could consume her.
It's like that classic idea of power corrupting.
In a way, it's a metaphor for the duality of power. How something so potent can be both a source of strength and a potential threat.
It makes me think about how Black people have often been perceived in society. Their strength and resilience both celebrated and feared.
You see the parallel. It's there Zélie's struggle to control her magic, to channel it for good. It speaks to the resilience of the Black community, the determination to rise above adversity.
To reclaim one's power.
Yes, in a world that often seeks to diminish it.
And Amari, she's going through quite a transformation too, isn't she?
She is. She starts as this sheltered princess.
Protected from the real world.
Yes. And then she evolves into a leader, challenging her family's legacy and fighting for a more just world.
It's inspiring to see her growth.
It is. She embodies the power of allyship. The realization that true change requires those in positions of privilege to step up.
To use their power for good.
Exactly. Her willingness to risk everything for the sake of justice. It's a powerful message.
Let's go back to Inan for a moment. His internal struggle with his own prejudices and his growing magical abilities.
It's a key part of the story. It reflects the complexities of unlearning harmful narratives and confronting systemic racism.
How so?
Well, his initial fear and rejection of magic,
It all stems from...
the propaganda he's been fed his whole life.
Wow, so he has to unlearn everything he thought he knew.
He does. It's like he has to deconstruct his entire worldview and rebuild it with a new understanding of history and identity.
That's a tough journey.
It is. It's a journey of self-discovery, recognizing one's own complicity in systems of oppression.
And choosing to break free.
Yes. Which brings us to Zélie's brother.
Right. He seems to represent a different kind of strength.
He does. He embodies a quiet strength, a belief in the power of dialogue and understanding.
So he's more of a pacifist.
You could say that he struggles with the idea of violence as a solution.
Which causes conflict with Zélie.
It does. She feels that force is necessary to fight back against their oppressors.
It's an interesting tension. It reflects the diversity of thought within any movement for social change.
You're right. There's no one right way to fight for justice. And the book explores those different perspectives with nuance.
And Mama Agba, she brings a different element to the group too, doesn't she?
She does. She brings wisdom and ancestral knowledge.
Like a guiding light.
Exactly. She reminds them of their history, their traditions.
The importance of their roots.
It's all connected.
So we have this intense quest, these incredible characters, and all these layers of meaning embedded in the story.
The story is rich with symbolism and metaphor.
But what about the ending? Does magic return to Orïsha?
I don't want to spoil the ending, but I will say that it's both hopeful and heartbreaking.
Oh, intriguing.
It acknowledges the cyclical nature of history. The fight for justice is ongoing, with victories and setbacks along the way.
It's never a straight line.
No, it's not. It leaves you thinking about the complexities of forgiveness, healing, what it truly means to achieve liberation.
So it's not a simple happy ending.
Not exactly. It's more nuanced than that. It invites us to grapple with these complex issues alongside the characters.
To think critically about the world around us.
Exactly. It's a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
It makes you reflect on your own experiences, your own biases.
Your own role in creating a more just world.
This has been such a rich discussion. But I'm curious about some specific moments in the book that really illustrate these themes for you.
You mean like scenes that packed an emotional punch?
Yes, or moments that made you pause and think.
There are so many. But one that always stands out to me is that scene in the market, where Zélie witnesses the brutal treatment of a young diviner by the guards.
Ugh, that scene was tough.
It's a stark reminder of the everyday injustices faced by those who are different, those who are seen as a threat simply for existing.
The casual cruelty, the way they dehumanize the diviner, it's a gut punch.
It is. It makes you think about how systems of oppression operate, how they become ingrained in society, you know?
Absolutely. Another scene that really got to me was when Amari witnesses her father execute her own handmaiden.
Binta.
Yes, Binta, simply for being a diviner.
It's heartbreaking, that moment. It shatters Amari's illusions about her father.
She sees him for who he really is.
Exactly. And it forces her to confront the true nature of his regime.
It also shows how insidious power can be, and how even those closest to us can be complicit in perpetuating harm.
That's the tragedy of it all. It speaks to the courage it takes to break free from those bonds and choose a different path.
I also keep thinking about that scene where Zélie and Amari are trying to gather supplies for their journey.
And they have to trade Amari's royal headdress.
Right.
For basic necessities.
It's such a small moment, but it speaks volumes.
It shows the sacrifices people make when fighting for freedom.
It highlights the economic disparities between those in power and those who are marginalized.
It's a reminder that injustice takes many forms. Not just physical violence, but systemic inequalities that limit opportunities.
For me, one of the most thought-provoking scenes is when Inan is in the temple, overwhelmed by the spirits of the slaughtered Centros.
He's finally seeing the truth.
About his father's actions, the blood that stains his family's legacy.
It's a powerful moment. It's when Inan's carefully constructed worldview crumbles, and he's forced to confront the horrors his family has inflicted on others.
The weight of history. The ways in which the past continues to haunt the present.
It's all there, and it highlights the importance of facing that history.
Acknowledging the truth, no matter how painful it may be.
That's the first step towards healing. And then there's the scene where Zélie channels the spirits of the dead to protect Zayn during the arena battle.
Chills.
It's a powerful display of her magic, but it also raises questions about the ethics of wielding such power.
Right, the responsibility that comes with it, the potential for both good and harm.
It underscores the importance of staying connected to one's ancestors, growing strength and guidance from those who came before.
It's a beautiful and terrifying scene, full of raw emotion and ancestral energy.
It speaks to the resilience of the human spirit, but also the potential for darkness that lies within us all.
Children of Blood and Bone is a book that stays with you. It's full of these powerful moments, these glimpses into the complexities of the human experience.
It challenges us to look at the world with a more critical eye.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
I think this book asks us to consider what it truly means to be free.
To reclaim your agency, your identity, your power.
In a world that often tries to define you, it asks us to examine our own relationships with power.
Both individual and systemic.
And to consider how we can use our voices and actions to dismantle oppressive structures.
It's a reminder that the fight for justice is an ongoing process, a relay race across generations.
We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us.
And we have a responsibility to carry the torch forward.
To continue the work of building a more equitable and compassionate world.
And what better way to honor those who fought for justice than by celebrating and amplifying their stories?
Exactly. This Black History Month and beyond, I encourage everyone to seek out and support Black authors, artists, creators.
Their voices are essential. Their stories matter.
They do.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Children of Blood and Bone. Thank you for joining us.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, I hope this deep dive has inspired you to check out this book and to continue exploring the rich tapestry of Black voices and stories. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Let's keep talking, keep learning, keep challenging ourselves, and keep striving to create a world where everyone's magic, their unique talents and potential is celebrated and allowed to flourish.